world, Michael here. This is our second devlog. Last week, I gave a quick introduction to the game. Not even gameplay, really, it's just a test that we do for the server. Right now, I'd like to really just talk a little bit more about what's going on with the test that I did last week. Maybe I'll open up a few more topics of what's going on in order for us to do true single shard, unlimited density. We'll see where it goes. I'm going to try and keep these devlogs short. They are not necessarily only for technical background individuals, but I may talk tech a little bit. And they are devlogs, but I'll also try to explain a few things to non-technical background people. But let me do a screen share. I'll do a stress test again. Last week I didn't try to break the server. Right now, I think I'm gonna try. And it's not gonna be very dramatic, so don't expect any explosions or anything. Let's just see where it goes. Okay, here we have that same area in the development map that last week I spawned a bunch of avatars and did that stress test, hitting the server with a bunch of packets. So here we are again. I'm about to do another spam test, but let me first go around the room, talk about a few things. So with the menu open, I've got a mouse that I could use. Okay, now look up here in the top right, we've got some statistics. Obviously your frame and CPU. Right now my CPU is spiked at 100, so that's a bug, and we're working on that. It doesn't run like this on my other computer, but on this one it's spiking for some reason. And then obviously memory. Okay, so the main thing that we're interested in when doing the server tests, specifically the stress tests, we're interested in the UDP statistics. So this is a type of message that's sent to the server, one of our servers. Right now we're sending 5 per second. No. Well, yeah, we're sending 5 per second and we're receiving 5 per second. And that's generally what we want. Most situations when we are alone in the map, if we're sending stuff out, we want to receive the same amount back. And that send receive ratio is 1. So for this particular context, 1 is correct. Now, when I'm about to send or create a bunch of avatars, the game is going to pretend that they're other players and will send the server the updates for those other avatars. The server won't know any better. It'll think that there's just a lot of players connected. But the point is this, right now we're sending 5 messages per second per avatar. That is 5 hertz, 5 times per second, which is 200 milliseconds for a player update. 200 milliseconds is a long time. And I brought it up because I really just want to be very transparent about these tests. They're very synthetic, they're limited, and we just need to keep that in mind. Okay, so I've turned on the player ghost. The ghost is the server's reflection of the player's position. It's what every other player will see. So when I move, you'll see that the ghost is a little bit behind. I'm also flying and the ghost is walking. That's like another bug we have. So one thing at a time. Okay, so the white avatar is where I'm actually at from my computer's point of view. And the ghost is the server's reflection. That difference is the difference that other players will see between where you are really at in your game and where they see you. Right now, we're a block builder kind of prototype. The big deal is the server technology. We're building a basic game. And as a reminder, this whole thing is built as a moddable sandbox. We want creators to create their own mods. We're building a block builder just to kind of show you around. The mod creators will do whatever they want. They will place voxels with normal game objects and terrain and meshes and all the things. So we are really just demonstrating capability with the intention for other people to replace that. So getting back to the 200 milliseconds thing. 200 milliseconds is a long time for replicating, object data. But for the use case of being a block builder, it's fine. Actually, it's not until we get into PvP, PvE that we need lower latency. And really the main reason why I'm doing 200 milliseconds right now for player updates is because it's easy for development. Because when I look at logs for the servers coming through, I could generally glance at log entries coming up every 200 milliseconds and I can scroll back and all that and look at them. But if I go to 1 to 60 hertz, 60 times a second, then it gets harder. And if I go to, a player update every millisecond, then that's even harder. I really just want to be transparent about everything going on here. Right now, I'm using the like an avatar concept as to measure server performance, like how many avatars can it handle. And each avatar takes a different amount of bandwidth based on what the avatar is doing, whether voice chat is enabled or not, or whatever. It's important for me to everyone to know that. What we really need to talk about are message rates, packets per second, and all that. This is a server technology, and those are more honest numbers. But until I get into the higher packet rates, I don't even care. Avatars are the easiest way for us to demonstrate replication capability. And so when we do these spam tests, we're talking about avatar numbers because that's easy to digest mentally. Because if I tell you, oh yeah, we can handle 50,000 packets per second, well, what does that even mean in terms of player experience? Having said all that, we're quoting avatar numbers, but that will translate into packets per second and the other kinds of gameplay experiences you can have, like voice chat, obviously interacting, PvP, PvE later, events that happen, and any other kind of update. I mean, more is always better, but I'm not necessarily implying that, oh, every server is going to have 10,000 people on it or whatever. When you plan out all these servers and build out your cluster and keep it online and maintain it operationally, you still add a safety margin. So just because your server can handle 10,000, well, you may not want it to go above 5,000 for, burst traffic, different events. And so that's why last few weeks I've been really focused on single server performance. And that's why I'm about to do a stress test that hits just a single server. So we're not testing the entire cluster. Because right now in my development journey, I don't know why, I just have that bug of optimizing. Now that we have some nice single server performance numbers, I want them to be even better. So just optimizing. Last week, I did 4,000 avatars, and that got us up to 20,000 packets per second. Okay, now here is 1,000. We got 5,000 packets going out. That's what it should be for 1,000 avatars times 5 per second. Plus the own character, the player character, 5,005. Okay, send receive ratio is at 1. That means we're getting back the same amount of packets that we are sending, so that's good. Each avatar, the server processes, sends back the notification that it's okay, that everything is fine. And it does that for any player connected. So if another player jumped into the scene right now, the server would be sending out twice as many packets because each player in the area would get all of the data necessary to describe that area. And right now, just for whatever reason, I've limited the updatable area to 8 chunks. 8 chunks is kind of far. In fact, that farthest thing in the corner that you see, or in the center of the screen above my head right now, that might be 8 chunks away, which is actually kind of far in terms of drawing a character and actually having any meaningful reason to look at them. In the lower left-hand corner, actually, wait a second. Oh, it's already turned off. The mini-map, the radar thing, has a limit for performance reasons. After a certain amount of avatars, it just won't draw anything. Eventually we'll get around to optimizing that, and maybe we can draw more avatars. But right now, there's 1,000 avatars. It's like, it would be a mess. So that thing is turned off. All right, let's just spam more. I don't know what else to talk about. 2,000. So again, if you didn't watch the first video, these guys don't have collision, they don't have physics, they don't have navigation, they don't have AI, nothing. The whole point is to spam the server. Okay, so we're up to 10K packets a second. Let me go look at my server real quick. I got the logs running. Everything looks fine. We're less than 10% CPU. That's actually pretty good. I'm still trying to beat that though. I want more. All right, let's start getting a little crazy. 3,000 avatars, 15,000 packets. 4,000 avatars, 20K packets. Server is starting to feel it. Looks to be about 25%. I got a little box. The current server for the development environment is kind of small. 4 cores, actually. to be exact. 5,000 avatars, 25K packets a second. Server is maybe 30 to 40%. It's weird because I get CPU percentages based on each core, and I have to do math in my head, which I refuse. So I'm just going to estimate. 6,000 actors, 30K packets. Server is close to 50% right now. And with these things, we can't always reliably estimate or extrapolate numbers. So like if we're at 6,000 actors, 6,000 avatars in 30K packets a second, and the server's at 50% right now, it doesn't mean that you can double that and arrive at a meaningful estimate of its maximum capacity. It's really not how it works. And it's a little bit technical as to why. I could probably get into that later. You cannot always estimate. You cannot always extrapolate linearly. 7,000 avatars, 35K packets a second. Okay, now we're in dangerous territory with actually the machine I'm on, because I have not reliably been able to get more packets per second out of this box than 35K packets. And I forgot I need to do this on my other machine as well. Next time I can do that, where I do both machines at the same time. That's largely been the way that I've had to increase hitting the server harder. Okay, 7K avatars. The server's at, I don't know, 65%. Let's see what happens. Okay, as we can see in the UDP send and receive, it's sort of averaging 35K a second. It'll go up or down. But I think, and this is the first time I think that we've seen it go up and down quite a bit in terms of numbers. You can call this jitter. The jitter at 7,000 avatars is pretty high for this laptop that I'm on. So I'm about to go up to 8,000 avatars, and I'm expecting it to actually do nothing different. I think we're at the maximum packet send and receive for the current setup. Now there could be tweaks that I could make, but I'm not going to worry about it. I spend my quarters elsewhere. I just have so much to do right now. Okay, 8,000 avatars. We're now definitely above 40K packets. No, it's getting there. It did it. Okay, this is good. Maybe it's just because I'm taking longer. Maybe the distribution has helped. I don't know. Okay, with 8,000 avatars, we should be at 40K packets, send and receive, and that's what we're seeing here. The server is at maybe 75%-ish. 65, 75. And we're doing good. I don't expect... Okay, well, I was wrong the last time, so let's just do it. 9,000. We should be at 45K. We should be at 45K both ways. It looks like it's doing it. Huh. This is different than my previous run. Maybe I just need to slow down. I go really quick when I do my own load tests. That's exciting. Server is at... It doesn't know where it's at. It's going up and down. It's got quite a bit of jitter. Variability. It's doing all kinds of stuff. I'm not seeing it higher than 75 though. It'll go down to 25 to 75. It's just the refresh rate on this monitoring tool, I guess. But the server isn't fully spiked. And then I say that, and now it is. It's just going up and down really a lot. So this is kind of like well into the undesirable regime of the server's capacity. You never want to operate a production server at 90% or 80%. And everyone's going to have their own little pucker factor when it comes to when do we add another server. I don't know what that's going to be for us right now. Don't have that data. But just glancing at the game right now, we've been hovering at 45 send receive, 45K send receive for a while, and that's healthy. I'm looking at the server send and receive, and it's correct, and it's always stable, and there's no real jitter on the server's send and receive. So at this level of replication, the server's healthy. The server is responding in a way that is acceptable. Okay, let's just go for breakage. Let's break the server right now, and I've talked enough. I'm boring everyone right now. Okay, 10K avatars. We want 50K packets, and we are not getting that. The send, I've noticed on the machine, the client, the send packets will always be pretty much correct. It seems like that's the preferential path in the code. The receive is what suffers. And when that happens, packets queue up on the client's receive buffer and will eventually crash the program. And so right now, I think we've entered that terrain. And if I were to let this run, which I will, we would expect the client to crash. So let's accelerate that. 11K avatars. We are, okay, now we're actually seeing very large receive drops. Looking at the server seems healthy. It's sending out, it's sending out what it should be. We're now seeing on the client, the send receive ratio is 1.5, 1.8. That's unhealthy, and it means that packets are queuing up. I'm expecting this thing to crash soon. It also means that we are now experiencing what we call queuing behavior on the client. Although you're watching the avatars all run around, and that's nice, all those positions are not necessarily accurate because we're doing something called position interpolation. And when the server sends data, that's the authoritative data, and it's correct, and we update the actor accordingly. Until in the milliseconds before we get the authoritative update from the server, we are estimating where the player is. When the server update comes in, we then correct the position of the player. And if there is a large difference between those two, the player will be seen to spurt between two locations. We call that rubber banding, and it's very undesirable. So you might actually see rubber banding occur now if we pay attention a little bit. I haven't been looking. I'm seeing it a little bit. Oh yeah, that's my ghost. Did you notice that? My ghost caught up to me. So watch this. So I move. My ghost does not move with me. That is one of the ways that we are able to detect queuing behavior, and that's bad. It means that other players are not seeing an up-to-date position for me. So as soon as we notice queuing behavior, we know when something is wrong. Now, this is only being experienced on the client. The server right now is healthy, mostly healthy. I'm seeing more jitter, but the CPUs are spiked. I've got a couple cores that are spiking. So that's undesirable. Not every core though. Let's keep going with this and actually crash something. The game is lasting a little bit longer than I'm used to. We've recently done stability improvements. It's one of the reasons why I didn't want to crash the server, quote unquote, last week, was because the client, the game, had some bugs, and I didn't want to just show you the game crashing all over the place, because I'd rather just have it last longer and not be annoying. It's annoying when things crash. Okay, so we're well past the point where the client is able to receive all the packets being sent. So let me just show you what happens when we get like over the top. All right, so there's 20,000 avatars. We're not receiving the packets we should. We are sending out not even all the packets we should. The game is overloaded right now, or I should say the laptop. My player ghost doesn't know what it wants to do. It has no idea what's going on. I'm now watching the server logs. The server is barfing up at me. It's now dropping messages. because it's full. So the server has refused any more service. Technically, I don't know exactly when that happened because I spammed a bunch of avatars, but kind of doesn't matter. You know, we always want to stay in the safe territory. Okay, so we haven't crashed the server in this case. It's still running. If I were to delete everything, the avatars, then the server would come back online and be okay. Let's try and do that right now, see where it goes. Okay, so I've officially destroyed all the avatars, but the server is actually behind. It's queued up. The server is experiencing queuing behavior. So it's got this backlog of requests that it's now finally getting to because we're not sending anymore. You can see in our, oh wait, we are sending stuff. Okay, so I didn't bring this up earlier. We are still sending stuff, even though I've destroyed the actors, because our send buffer was full. So first we need the send buffer to finally empty. Then the server can start getting ahead because it was full of stuff. And then eventually the server will process all of the packets that we've sent to it. And then we'll finally slow down the packets it's sending back. Now, because I've been rambling for so long, there's probably very large, okay, there it goes. We're now down to sending 5 packets a second. So that first part has started. The server I'm watching is no longer dropping messages, and it is now sending 20K packets a second. So that's accurate. Our received stat on our client is accurate. And now the client has dropped down to, and there it goes. Okay. So now everything is normal from a network perspective. We're still seeing, we're seeing what we're seeing now because there is still messages being processed. So the stats you're seeing in the top right-hand corner are network messages, but those messages still need to work through the game, and we don't show those stats. So the game's rendering pipeline is still processing all these network updates that are very, very old. And it looks goofy, and it is goofy. We don't want this. But nonetheless, that's what happens when you fill up your memory with all these unprocessed things. You can see my ghost is responding in a lower latency appropriate, manner. It's now back. Okay, our radar is back. And now finally all of the radar's back and all the actors are gone. So we're back to a normal game and everything is hunky-dory. Okay, there it is. So that was the glorious load test. Again, no explosions, no interesting things to see once the server reached its limit. Yeah, I just wanted to give you that quick tour and explain what's going on with the packets, the avatars with their 200 millisecond, refresh rate, what that really means, and what we're going for. Right now, I'm working on server performance. I want to get single server performance higher. I don't know how high. I want to fully max out every core of the server, and I want it to be safe. I want the server to be able to run at the limit without me worrying about whether it's going to queue up or drop messages or whatever. So that's what I'm working on right now. Once I get to a little bit more comfortable place with the performance, I'm going to get back into the cluster technology. And then we'll have to figure out how to do a break the cluster situation. Single server, the small server, this is a 4-core server. With one computer, I was able to send enough packets to break it, and that's nice. I'm hoping that the next performance update I'm able to give, I'm no longer able to break it with a single server, with a single client. I've got 2 computers, that might be good enough, but we'll see. Eventually, once we get into full load testing the cluster, which is multiple servers, I'll have to limit the cluster because the whole point of this thing is that we can have a really big cluster. But to test the cluster technology and where it kind of falls over at, we'll have to figure out how to generate enough data for that, enough traffic. This is a quick devlog. Devlog number 2 is over. Thank you for hanging in there if you did. And I think maybe next time I'm going to talk about more of the topics that single shard brings up, density brings up, lots of gameplay implications. People have started asking about that, and I have good answers, and I look forward to chatting with you all about it. So, thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.